Welcome back to Face the Nation, and the question we are raising tonight: can Indian universities throw up a Nobel laureate? Carry on with your voting, and we'll carry on with our discussion. Ranjit Nair, you were making a very interesting point in the break, and you have to tell that to our viewers as well, that Indians haven't got the prize because of a reason. It's not a coincidence that you only have to go abroad to win the prize. It's because Indians have been systematically ignored. I mean, Jagdish Chandra Bose didn't get it, Satyendra Nath Bose didn't get it, G.N. Ramachandran didn't get it, ECJ Sudarshan, George Sudarshan didn't get it, although he was, as you said, nominated the most. So is this because of the fact that this is a east or west, west is the best policy?
Well, I must first of all say that it is a wonderful thing for Nobel to have done for his country, because in the absence of the Nobel Prize, Stockholm would not really exist in the popular imagination.
Right.
And this is like,
but it's a Western prize.
Well, it's a Western prize, and it's actually, I had the experience of going to the Royal Academy of Sciences with a copy of the selected scientific papers of George Sudarshan, in order to, make them aware that he had done so much work. And after that controversy in 2005, the result was that they put up for the first time the names of the nominees, the selectors, and there are just 5 people out of, I think the total number of people in the Royal Academy is about 150.
Right.
It's a small country. Its population is less than that.
So we don't know who the names are. We don't know the jury.
You know it. I mean, you know who the names are. But they send out 3,000 nomination forms and so on. But obviously nobody has time to read 3,000 nomination forms, and it depends on the particular committee who they are in contact.
And you were saying that this is it's a bit like the Booker Prize. It's like various people lobbying for these winners, isn't it? I mean, it could be like that. I mean, it could be that MRC Laboratory, which, as you were saying, has 29 Nobel laureates, has actively gone and lobbied for its own people.
Well, whenever there is something subjective, there is chance, and there's so many people who have done deserving work, and there's only one prize a year, and there's literally hundreds of thousands of scientists worldwide. There is going to be lobbying. Having said that, it's not like just as a Booker Prize winning book. It's necessary. It's typically a good book.
The merit is unquestioned, but it needs a push.
But it needs a push,
and that's not done in
even
India.
To prepare for the nomination, it requires some kind of full-time engagement for a number of weeks, and I don't think India has that kind of people. They have the kind of
incentives,
preparation to supply that kind of nominations. It is just not possible.
But also from the point of view of the Nobel Prize-giving committee, I mean, MRC Lab is clearly much more prestigious than, say, Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. So if there's a nomination coming from MRC Lab in Cambridge,
at the moment, Indian institutes are highly valued because they produce certain kinds of technocrats. And there is a lot of talk about Indians being very good in science, particularly mathematical sciences. But I don't think that translates into recognition of Indian creativity, and in any case, I don't think really Indian creative scientists who stay back in India really put in the effort to be creative over a long stretch of time, because creative knowledge, not only science, creative social sciences, creative humanities is part of a general hierarchy.